We do have Scott Schmidt, president of Craction.com, on the Sports Fix line with us. Scott, it's been a little while. Nice to have you back on the program. Looking forward to Week 1 in the NFL. Obviously, though, your location, your fandom being what it is, I'm sure today, although maybe last night was a little tenuous for you, I'm sure you're pretty happy with Green Bay's win.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic atmosphere up here in Green Bay last night. You know, the national media in town, coming off the Super Bowl, big game against, a team that a lot of people are saying have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. So it was a fantastic atmosphere, like I said, and it was great that we came out with the victory, albeit a little bit close at the end there.
Let's look ahead to this week. And now, first and foremost, I said it earlier, Craction.com. Scott, you've been on the show for a couple years now anyway, so people should know what this is. But just a quick refresher for those that may be tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Basically, Craction, we're calling it the next evolution of fantasy football. And the reason we call it that is traditional fantasy football has become a part-time job for people. And although there are the people out there that really enjoy spending, 10 to 20 hours a week making trades and researching stats and doing all that kind of stuff, there's a big majority of people out there that just don't have the time for that. But they want to, participate in some type of competitive game with their family or friends or whatever. So basically I created Craction to do just that. It's a very easy game to play. You simply pick 5 teams each week against a Craction spread, which is similar to the Vegas point spread. And the more points that your team covers the spread by, the more you score. If they don't cover the spread, you actually lose points. So it's a very easy game to play. We call it a very all-inclusive game. We try to make it where anybody can play regardless of how much time you have on your hands, whereas fantasy, it's kind of almost exclusive just simply because of that time factor. It's a simple game. We've got a college version this year. We're going to have the bowl season this year. We're going to have basketball, both pro and college. So we're really excited about where we're going with this game.
Very, very good. And obviously we've been on it for a while. I think it's a huge, fantastic game. If you love football or any of the other sports now, it's just more incentive, I guess, to watch. Let's get to some of the games coming up this weekend then. And right off the bat, I've got games that intrigue me and the lines intrigue me, but you being who you are and what you do with the company, what game right off the bat to you is one of the games you just pounce on? What game you see the line and you love it?
It's funny because everybody always asks me that, especially new players, they kind of want to know what's a good strategy for the first couple of weeks of the year. And I always say, stay true to teams that have played well in the past, meaning, focus on teams that were in the playoffs last year. I know the media loves to promote teams that, are up and coming. A couple years ago, Cleveland was going to be the hot team, and they just bombed at the beginning of the season. And you see this type of story every year. This year, they're all over Detroit, which at the end of the year, you may see them in the playoffs. But in the beginning of the year, what I like to do is I like to focus on teams that have been traditionally good in recent years. The game that sits out to me is Atlanta -2.5 on the road to Chicago. And you're saying, well, Scott, this totally contradicts what you just said. I mean, Chicago was in the NFC Championship game. But quite frankly, here's my opinion. Atlanta should have probably been in the NFC Championship game. They ran into Green Bay, who was just playing unbelievable at the end of the year. And I think Chicago is severely overrated. Despite all the wins that they got last year, I don't feel like they were that good of a team. So I like a low point spread here, 2.5. It's early in the season, so the weather in Chicago is not going to be bad. So this is going to be, basically like them playing in the nice warm confines of their dome, just on grass. So I really like Atlanta in this game. That one jumped out at me. And then I think with Peyton Manning being hurt, I like Houston at home, like they did last year, knocking off Indianapolis in the first week. So those are the 2 games that I really like right off the bat.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the Manningless Colts at Houston. That game just reeks. Houston win that one. A game that jumped out at me, and it's not one that a lot of people might consider, but it's certainly one to at least look at. Buffalo at Kansas City. The line's pretty high here, and KC, a lot like Chicago in my opinion, not that good. I thought teams by the end of the year last year figured out Kansas City. I think a lot of people might be underestimating Buffalo. I don't think Buffalo is going to win 8 games, but I think they'll be competitive like last year, and I think it'll be 5-6 wins again. I look at KC, that might be a team around 5 or 6 wins. This game is a lot closer to me than the line is showing.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, look at it from a Craction's perspective. Here's my opinion or my take on it. I don't think Buffalo is going to go in and win that game. Okay, so in saying that, you're looking at 6.5 points that Kansas City's got to cover. do they win the game by 7? Maybe. Do they win it by 3? Maybe. It's not gonna. I don't think it's gonna cost you a lot of points by going with Kansas City or Buffalo. I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't see this game producing a huge Craction point one way or the other. I think it's going to be right around that 3 to 7 point win for Kansas City. So you're looking at, if you take Buffalo, getting anywhere from 3.5 to 1.5 points, somewhere in there, and vice versa on Kansas City. So, but I agree with you. I don't believe neither one of these teams will be in the playoff hunt come December. But it's interesting to see a point spread 6.5 like that. I think a lot of that goes off the fact that Kansas City was in the playoffs last year and Buffalo struggled, and they're at home. So I think that's kind of a little bit of historical relevance there to that line.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. Again, everyone, get on it if you're not already, and I'm sure you are. Craction.com is addicting as all get out, and it's a lot of fun. And it just adds the entertainment value of great football action. Scott, thanks again for joining us. We'll chat again next week, all things week 2.
I appreciate it, Matty Mick. And by the way, just a little note, we build this game as being exciting and keep you on the edge of your seat, where fantasy football, you're kind of just focusing on stats. Last night, in the last minute of the game, there's 8 potential scoring scenarios that could have unfolded from that game. And there's no other game out there that can give you that kind of excitement or that kind of volatility. So I don't even know if that's a word. If it's not, it should be. But anyway, play Craction, create your own private league. There's public leagues, and definitely make sure you join the Grand Prize League. Winner goes to Vegas.